Just take us through what exactly has made Nuria successful, especially in the e-commerce business, whereby most guys are not as successful.
I think resilience. The business needs a lot of resilience. The other thing I think business need is marketing, consistency. I used to have a car, a Makex. I sold in 2017.
You put everything into the business.
Yes.
Why were you still putting in money into a business that still was not working out?
First of all, I wanted this business to work. The other thing is, at that time, I wanted to support local authors. I saw a niche.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business. My name is Ian Dennis, and tonight we have a very interesting show lined up. I'm about to just have a conversation with a gentleman who's literally started off and literally grown one of the biggest e-commerce bookstores in Kenya and actually largely Africa, and we're going to be exploring how this particular journey has been. They say in Africa you don't read, but I actually doubt that particular statement because a lot of people do read. But before I get to introduce my guest, I'd like to let you know that you're here at the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur. At the Capital Club, you have access to so many different particular partners around the globe. When you're traveling to Dubai as part of the Capital Club, you have access to facilities within Dubai, in New York, in London. We're in a global world, and being part of the Capital Club ensures that you're global. The guest I'm speaking about is Abdullahi, who's the founder of Nuria Bookstore, one of the leading, or rather the biggest bookstore in Kenya. Thanks so much for having come to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Why are you playing so humble? But nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Maybe just as a start off, the first question I like asking every particular guest is, what exactly are you most grateful for today?
The gift of life and my parents as well, and kids, my wife. So I have 2 kids, expecting another one. So
congratulations.
So family is growing. So I'm grateful to.
How many now? So you'll have 3.
Yeah, I'm expecting another one. So I have 2 boys. Yeah, so hopefully, I don't know. Is it a girl? I don't know. I need to know.
Oh, you're not going to do a reveal party like everybody's doing
no. I was just normal, yeah.
Utajua tu siku ya kuzaliwa,
Yes.
utajua ni nani, that's very interesting.
It's true, yeah.
Wangu wako bado kwa magoti. I need to work harder to get to where you are.
It's okay. No pressure. Yes.
But I'd just like to just start this conversation just to understand your journey, and I was just doing some background or whatever checks and just doing my background research. I found out that you grew up in Wajir.
Yes, I did, yeah.
So how exactly is it growing up in Wajir? I've never been to Northeastern.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's hot, but it's an amazing place. It has grown now. When I was a young boy, I think at that time it wasn't, as populated as it is now. It's a big, I think, town now. So I went to school there, primary and secondary, and then later on I came to Nairobi, 2005. That was 2006 I joined university. So
you, most part of your life you're in Wajir?
Yes, especially my
Your younger years?
Yes, yeah.
Interesting. So what are your parents doing?
My mother is a housewife. And my father had an interesting journey. So his father passed on when he was 13 years old. And then he didn't had anything because his mom, my grandmother, used to keep camel. And so when my grandfather died, I think my father started looking for what to do. So he became houseboy in an AP camp. So worked as a house help in an AP camp.
That's in Wajir still?
Yeah, in Wajir still. I think outside Wajir, a town outside Wajir, but Wajir County.
Yes.
So later on, I think he joined. At that time, he didn't need a degree to join. I think AP, administration police. So he became an administration police officer, and then later on, driver. I think he went to driving school in Thika, became a driver of a DO and then DC. And then a friend of his who was who's an Arab, who was in Wajir, told him there's an opportunity in the Middle East. Opportunity to work. So he went to work in Middle East for 30 years as a driver.
Oh, that's interesting.
30 good years. So
30 years.
Yes, way before even us we were born. And then he came back. He came back, I think, but before that, he helped us now. I'm number 4 in our family.
How many
From
are
my
you?
father's side, we are 14.
Wow.
From different mothers.
Oh, from different mothers. All right.
Yeah,
but total 14.
Yeah. So while he was in, I think, Middle East, he, he took, I think, 2 of my brothers to India.
Yes.
To do, I think, their degree there. 2 of my sisters' colleges here in Nairobi, and then I was the 5th to go to university here in Kenya.
So what I'm getting is that your dad was quite the hustler, and you literally went for it. Yes. Maybe just looking back and maybe just how exactly your upbringing and just reflecting on your dad, what are some of the lessons you'll say you learned or maybe you observed from your dad growing up?
I think both my mom and my dad. I think my dad, because the company is named after my mother, Nuria, she's called Nuria. So I've learned, when my father was away, because most of the time he was working.
Yes.
So he used to come maybe after 1 or after 2 years, holiday, that a small
break,
leave.
Yeah.
So both of them, I think, even my mother, when father was out of the country, she used to do small businesses. She used to sell, I used to have a fridge at our home. So what she used to do is she used to sell ice to the neighbors. So she was involved in business at a very...
Oh, so your mom was also into business. Because I know Wajiri, I'm told it's extremely hot.
Extremely hot. So, and what I learned from my father was honesty and working hard. So kujituma. So my father once told me that there's a day, I think his employer didn't give him a break for like 1 month. He was working in between 2 to 3 countries. So he had his shirt for 30 days. So he has to throw that shirt and buy a new one. Yeah. Because he couldn't find where to buy, what to do. So he used to just sleep in the car or a nearby motel, and then because he used to transport petrol. Yeah, so he's
also moving around countries in the Middle East.
In the Middle East.
Yeah.
So he once told me he changed even employers. So it was an easy journey for him in the Middle East. So what I've learned about him is resilience, working hard, and the exceptional honest person as well. So,
interesting. Yeah. So you mentioned that your dad literally was not educated, but one of the core things that he did for everybody was to ensure that all of you are educated.
Yes.
So you schooled in Wajir?
He never went to school, my father. And he speaks fluent English, fluent Arabic, and Swahili.
Interesting.
And of course Somali.
Yes. Are you not ever going to school?
Yes.
And then one of the core things that you'd mentioned earlier on was that your father ensured that all his children are educated.
All of them.
And so you studied initially in Wajir?
Yes. And then my passion was to become a pilot. I got actually admitted in a college in Texas, in US.
Yes.
But at that time, my father was paying for school fees for two of my brothers and 2 of my sisters. Yeah. So he couldn't afford. So I think it was at that time it was around, I think 1.1 million around. Yeah. For everything to go there and do my piloting course there. Yeah. I couldn't afford, so I was out of school 2 years when I finished. It was 2003 to 2005. Yeah. 3 good years. So I joined campus 2006.
Why did you join campus?
At Nazarene. The reason why my father couldn't now accommodate me at that time. Yes. So he was paying for 4 of my siblings. So I have to wait to go. Yeah. So
you mentioned you were 14.
Yes. Hey. No, the ones are still young. Some of them are still young. So now when one of my brothers came back from India, 2003, yes. He got a job here. He's a lawyer, and then he started working for 2 years. So he called me from Wajir and then started now accommodating me in Nairobi, paying for where I used to live. Yeah. And then we started looking for a university here in Kenya. I wanted to do microbiology, but my grade couldn't allow me. And then later on, I ended up at Nazarene University. Yeah.
What did you study?
I did BCom,
Yeah.
accounting, and which I've never used it.
I think we're in the same WhatsApp group.
So,
Also, my undergrad is in BCom. Yes.
yeah, so accounting, I'm yet to use it. I'm good in numbers, but I've not used accounts.
Interesting.
I've never liked it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want to do ACCA or CPA.
You never did a CCF partly. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you studied commerce, and then what's it called? So after university, within university, were you doing any hustles? Or,
yes.
What were some of the
That's
initial hustles that you did?
So 2005, when I came to Nairobi, my brother, who was back to Kenya at that time and practicing law, opened a small, what is it called, car wash. So I was working there.
Car wash.
Car wash. I know how to clean cars. So I used to earn 400 shillings per day. So I worked there for a few months and then started applying for college. 2006, I then joined campus. And then 2007, my father came back, I think 2005, 2006. He was back to country. He left employment. Then came back to Kenya. So he used his small savings and, you know, severance pay, whatever they paid those guys. Came back here, partnered with my brother, and they opened a restaurant in Isli. That's 2007 now. So I started working during the weekends.
So you're the waiter?
Yeah,
or
exactly. No, either waiter, cashier, or on the floor. So I started working, especially during the weekends. I used to work at the restaurant. So that's 2006, no, 2007. So I used to earn 400 shillings, 400 per day. So every weekend I used to work at the restaurant, get 800 bob. That will help me now for the week.
Push through the week. That's very interesting.
I used to take, you know, from Isli to town I used to be 40, 50 bob. And then from town to Nazarene is another, I think, 30 bob. And then from the stage to Nazarene, because I used to be inside the main campus. So that used to help me now.
Interesting. So at least when you're in school, you used to juggle with the family business and also trying to go through it. And then something interesting is after campus, you became what every parent were telling us: you need to finish school, especially doing BCom, and then go be a banker. You became a banker.
First of all, before I became a banker, while I was in campus, second year, was it UNDP or UNEP? I can't remember. Came to advertised one of, I think, advertised within the campus, I think, and they wanted someone to work in Somalia. At that time I was second year. I wanted to join that.
So to go and work Somalia as what?
Leave employment, leave campus, and then go work there. So they were looking for someone to work in Somalia. So I speak Somali, I speak Swahili and English. So I was fit for that job at that time. So later on, I was advised not to finish campus because I was told that once. Oh,
you didn't take the opportunity?
No, I didn't take the opportunity.
I was expecting us to go there and just have a bomb.
So I was told once you go that way, it's very hard for you to finish. So I continued with, I think, my studies. But 2008, there was Muzungu who used to sell, he passed on now, may he rest well. So he used to sell camel milk. And he used to distribute, the restaurant used to distribute the
restaurant milk. Now that your dad
used to distribute the milk. So I became the point man now.
The broker.
Not the broker per se, but selling. So I started doing the marketing, marketing and selling the books for, the milk
camel
for him.
Milk,
So I used to sell them in Isli and in South Sea. So he used to pack them, he used to make them in Nyuki, and then he used to supply Nakumat, Uchumi, and Tuskys at that time. All those three now, I think they're gone. So he used to supply them, and then plus us. So us used to now distribute on his behalf in Isli, and so I started now distributing that. Oh,
so you became the distributor while still in campus? So you're juggling distribution of the milk?
Camel milk,
You used to work over the weekend with your parents, and during the weekday you still have to go in school? So you became quite a busy man?
Exactly. While I was doing that, blah, 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 and then what happened was my father's Beshara started going down. So it wasn't doing well, the business. Because they started constructing the road now, the Isli. It's called, I think, General Warungi Road. So when the construction started of that main road, I think business started going down. And then there was a lot of competition, there was a lot of issues as well. And then we decided now, my father decided to sell the space. And then I think other people now put, you know, I don't know what they've put, clothes and other stuff now. So I think it was taken up by another staff. So my father started, you know, selling that hotel to another person. Then once that happened, I didn't have anywhere to put, you know, my camel milk. So I have to look for a shop. So I opened a small shop in Isli, selling.
How did you get the funds to that? What exactly it is the distribution got you enough capital for the business?
Oh yeah, there's a missing part. The part that's missing is I got employed as an intern at Chase Bank. How?
While still in university?
Yes. In 2009, I graduated 2010, July, August. 2009, it was a must for me to do an internship. So I started applying for internship. So since previously I wanted to join the NGO world, so I started applying for AMREV and UN, blah, blah. So I dropped my CV.
Everywhere.
And then plus a bank. So the bank called me. So the bank called me for a job and they told me, no, for an interview. They interviewed me. And I think at that time, Chase Bank opened, what is it called? A division for Islamic finance. So I was fit. So I was supposed to be taken to Isli to become a salesperson in Isli branch because they opened as branch at that time. That was new. So in Isli branch. So I was at the right time, right fit.
So everything worked out
exactly, well. So I didn't want to join in banking. I've never thought of, you know, joining banking world. So I ended up, you know, I was interviewed in October and November I was called again for another interview. December I got the job. So I started working before I graduated because it was a must for me to do. It was part of the curriculum that I must
do the internship.
Must. So since it was a must, that's how I ended up even before banking, because I finished coursework, but I was waiting to graduate. So now while I was working, because I started with a salary of 10,000.
As an intern?
As an intern.
At least you were paid as an intern. Many Kenyans were world coin.
Exactly, I was lucky. So I used to earn 10K working at Riverside, where SBM now is. So 10,000 shilling, that really helped me kidogo. So that also helped me now to open now the shop. The shop
for the camel milk where you now used to sell.
Exactly.
That's very interesting.
So but I was also selling other drinks, soft drinks and fresh juices.
So you used to combine both. Also from the 10K you used to earn and what's it called? And the money you'd also gathered when you were working for your parents also enabled you accumulate to do this.
Exactly.
One thing I'm getting from you is that you're quite a go-getter and at very young. So in campus, you used to do business, you still used to do your internship and still hustle and just do about your business. Just looking back, when you reflect back, how important, where did this particular drive come from?
I just don't know. Because if we were to go back again, in 2003, 2004, first 2003, my first employment was I worked at a chemist. I used to earn 3,000. I used to earn 3,000 as a cashier. So a chemist that was owned by a Rela. So since I didn't have anything, I was in Wajir and he was a doctor. He opened a chemist. So I used to run the chemist for him. So I did it for a couple of months, and then another Rela approached me, and then I started working at his shop. So I used to make good fresh juice. So I used to run a small shop that used to sell cereals.
You've done a lot of things and you're quite young.
And I think that also introduced me now to the business world slowly of how to run things, how to keep records, accounting to balance everything, expenses, these are the rent, everything. So at a very young age, you know, I was learning the basics or the foundations of business. I think that's now what led me now to. But my passion was when I was in campus, I really wanted to join the NGO world. Because I always wanted a soft life. I didn't want this life. It's hard.
Something you've mentioned, and you've mentioned your relative pushed you, which is very different from other people. It's like a company would have pushed you there. There's something about the Somali culture and business. Maybe you can just expound to me how exactly that culture is, because I always I have a lot of Somali friends, I've observed them, and there's a way that your culture is a reflection of business. Because it's your relative that pushed you.
Yes, yes.
And that's what different. It's not our relative that pushed, it's another company that pushed us. Maybe just break down this particular Somali culture and the aspect of just ensuring that you support each other. How exactly is that particular culture?
It's first of all, Somali culture is a beautiful culture and very interesting. Especially us from northern part or where I come from, Wajir. Wajir is mainly we are pastoralist, or majority of I think Somali community. But on the other side, they usually farm. But where I come from, mainly we keep livestock. And the thing that around livestock is it involves around honesty, integrity, and negotiations. So if you go to the market, you negotiate through a handshake. I'll shake a handshake with you and negotiate. Will you take 7,000 shilling? No, 6,500. You negotiate.
So you're negotiating giving a handshake?
In the market. So everything used to be simple. So the reason why Somalis, it's personally, I don't know whether they're successful, but is about simplification. So they don't have a lot of bureaucracies. So I want to deal with you. You sell something, I buy from you, we agree on the go, and it's done. So we agree and then so I think that pastoralist lifestyle contributed a lot
in terms of how you
negotiations and doing. That's why you see even in where I come from. I'm not sure now what's going on there now, whether the cultures are changed because it's cosmopolitan. The thing with pastoralists is they only eat first of all what they keep. Even Maasais, I think, they will not eat wild animals. You will not see us, giraffe or those, because we already have meat. So the Somali, since they keep that animals, because even when they fight inter-clan clashes, they will kill each other, but they will not take their livestock. They will not take even your livestock. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
So I don't know. That's what I'm saying now. I don't know whether things have changed. So that business, especially the livestock. Even though there are some farmers, came from the business part.
Interesting. So we are going to just take a small break and we're going to explore how best, but it's very interesting that I'm learning about the Somali culture. So after the break, we're going to explore how the hustler now, or rather the pastoralist now became one of the owners of one of the biggest bookshop. So see you after the break. So welcome back to the show. Before we went on a break, Abdullahi was just breaking down to us the Somali culture and how they go about business, which is very, very interesting. And now I want us to focus in terms of Nuria, the bookstore that you've actually grown. So you're taking us through the journey in terms of the internships and the business that you've done. And then also you got into the banking industry with Chase Bank, whereby you grew from an intern to, what's it called, a managerial position. First of all, before the start of the business, what made you want to leave employment? And yet everybody, especially being in the bank, everybody's usually so comfortable.
First of all, I just wanted to run it as a side hustle because I started Nuria in 2015 December with a Facebook page selling books. And then before end of that month.
So first of all, are you an avid reader? You know, you can
consume. I read. Yes, I've slowed down nowadays, but I used to read a lot of books. And because I took a break from business, because I used to run several other businesses in between. I used
to do a lot of things.
Spare parts, I used to sell tires and rims on OLX. So I took a break 2014, 2015. That's the time now I started now reading books, a lot of books. That's the only time I took a break.
So you're reading for leisure or
just leisure at that time because I got frustrated with business. I took like a sabbatical business break. So
business did that thing to you.
Exactly. So I took a break, I just said, let me just focus with my business and with my work and then just forget about business. So I started now getting into books now. Since I'm biased towards business books, so I started now reading more business books followed by autobiographies. So while I was reading books and taking my books to the workplace, one of my colleagues or some of my colleagues started borrowing books from me. And then one lady who used to sit next to me told me that, why can't you start selling books to us? And that's how now I started now selling
Selling
books,
books.
getting back to business.
Ah, interesting.
So she inspired me now, really,
Yeah.
why you just giving us for free? Why can't you start selling the books to us? So I started with a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And then I did a small research and I saw that there were no online bookshops at that time.
Yes.
So the physical stores, brick and mortar. And then Jumia was there and other, I think, online stores were there. But they were not selling books as well,
yeah.
so online. So I did the first order. I did a research, because at that time I used to source between 2014, 2015, I used to source books, local and international. If I can't find a book here in Kenya, I used to import it. So I started now having connections with publishers. So now
So local publishers and also international.
Yeah. So I started now importing international books. So I started with, I think, $1,000. I think $1,200, around 125K at that time. So I imported my first shipment from one publisher. I put it at my house. And then started selling books.
Interesting. And one of the things, especially, there's always this common phrase, which I actually don't agree with, that Kenyans don't read. From your experience, do Kenyans read?
Initially, they were not reading. And I think after COVID or during COVID, a lot of Kenyans started reading because they were at home. And I think most bookshops at that time that were operating and had online platform sold a lot of books. So more Kenyans were reading at that time.
Interesting.
So I think that was another contributor. The other contribution that I've made is the influence around the marketing people do around books. So more, I think Kenyans have been influenced by, I think even authors are putting a lot of effort, international authors and local, in marketing their books and talking about their books. So the more they talk about their book and the stories inside those books, the more people are buying. I know it's maybe a tertiary need. Books is not a primary need. But with marketing and and also influence, from if you see a friend of yours reading a book, so I think it's growing. It's not as big, but it's growing, and we are spending a lot of marketing resources.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And one of the core things that you managed to do is that I know there are so many e-commerce sites that have actually propped up over what's it called, with internet growing in Nairobi and also in Kenya and Africa at large. But you've managed to build a very substantial e-commerce following. Just take us through what exactly has made Nuria successful, especially in the e-commerce business, whereby most guys are not as successful.
I think resilience. The business needs a lot of resilience. The other thing I think business need is marketing, consistency. So we have been consistent from the word go from 2016. So we were pushing for local content, 70%. Up to date, 70% of what we market are local books. Local books. So yes, it's consuming most of our time, most of our resources. Because sometimes you might do 15 posts, 20 posts, and you make only one sale or two sales. So that's how painful marketing is. So, and then because of our own continuous and consistency in marketing, especially on Twitter, I think that gave us an edge over the other platforms. Because I think anything that you give attention grows. So I think that's how I think we are doing well, especially on Twitter.
Interesting. So you've mentioned Twitter as one of the platforms that you use, and right now there are so many different particular social media platforms. As an entrepreneur and one exactly who specialized in e-commerce, which particular platforms work the best from your experience, and which one will be good for any entrepreneur who wants to get into e-commerce?
That's a tricky one.
From your experience.
Yes. The thing is, for Twitter, I think there are more readers on Twitter than on Instagram or on other platform. Though there are readers on Facebook as well. There are readers on TikTok. There are readers on Instagram. So you have to have a mix of all of them. So you can't leave one out. So the authors who are also doing short videos, short trailers of the video of the book, and they post it on TikTok. So TikTok is growing as well. And there's a whole generation who don't know Facebook. It's an entire demography, I think, is it Generation Z, who are on Instagram and TikTok only, and maybe Twitter. They're not on Facebook. So, though there are also good number of Facebook users who buy The demographic that are on TikTok rely on their parents. You know, they don't have money to buy.
Yeah.
So that's why piracy is big in Kenya. Book piracy, PDF books, people share on WhatsApp and so on and so forth. So, but you must have a mixture of all
the different
social media platforms. You can use LinkedIn. You're not good at that place, but LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, social media, what is it called? Instagram. So if you can use, also Instagram has some good number of conversion, but Twitter is the one that's leading, followed by Instagram, I think Facebook, and of course they interlinked Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
And then of course to create awareness, to create, yes, there's little sales that are coming from TikTok, but it's more, you have to create that awareness. Yeah, it's an awareness platform, especially for books now.
Interesting.
But the conversion, the biggest platform that's given us good conversion Twitter.
Interesting. Something that I think just doing my research on you is that I found out that the earlier days in business were quite difficult for you.
Yes.
I know your transition from employment now into business. Just take me through your earlier days, because everybody now may see the glory and Nuria, selling from international authors, having all this.
Yes.
How difficult were the initial days?
It was tough, especially 2016. 2016. My plan was first to resign 2016 May, and the reason was because we used to be paid every
here 25th.
May. I think we used to be paid our bonuses May. May every year.
Yes.
For our previous performance.
Yes.
So I was looking at get some good bonus with my what is it called, salary plus my savings plus what is it called, my pension, access part of my pension at that time. So I wanted to do that. But now the bank was put under receivership in April.
And you already planned your exit?
May, I was to leave in May. Actually May and then June I leave. So we are put under receivership. So some of my savings were locked in the bank. So even though it was released later, so I was stressed, and then I got my first kid 2016 June. So now
everything.
I was not going anywhere.
And you already given your resignation?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet at that time. Oh, I was just planned it.
Yes.
So I wanted to go full into the business because it was around at that time around 6 months, I think 6 or 5 months.
Yes.
Old. So it didn't happen. So I applied some breaks. I said, let me run it as a side hustle. I employed one gentleman. Actually, he was working for me from January. So that guy now used to operate from the store. So his work was, if someone orders a book, because at that time the business wasn't doing well, or the book business, especially the online book business wasn't doing well. So I used to pay from my pocket his salary. Yeah. So even the rent and everything. So his work was just, if you make one sale, some days that I sikuwa natengeneza sell. So if I make 1 or 2 sales per day, he'll just fulfill that. So I used to meet him every other day or every other 2 days. I used to meet him to discuss strategies. How can we grow? It was tough. So when I got a baby, I got some help from my sister. That's December. So December I was extremely broke. I was broke. Sikuwa na pesa kidogo. So my sister and my wife, and my small kid, wameenda Wajia to meet my mother December. Waenda break huko. But me, I stayed in Nairobi because I couldn't afford
to travel to Wajia
with them. So my sister paid for the travel, kwenda na kurudi.
That's how bad it was.
Yes, it was bad. It was, so I only had 20 bob a day. Sikuwa nimekula for a whole day. I only had 20 bob in my M-Pesa. So
because all the money has gone to the business.
Business and everything. I didn't have anything because earlier that year I had savings of 400,000. Na yote imeingia kwa biashara.
Na imepotea.
Imepotea hata sijui imeenda wapi. So the next day, luckily, I got an order for 2 books. I fulfilled and survived. Actually, I walked from where my store was in CBD, mpaka Rafter Road, nikapeleka na mguu to the customer.
You did have a shilling in you, kabisa.
Yes, so I took to the customer. That helped me a little bit. And then I got the next month, which was January, I got support from my sister again. So
having ladies in your life is very important. Exactly, I relate with you.
So my sister and her husband played a big role in supporting me. So and then 2017 I was still working, balanced it. Now 2018, the reason why I left employment was the guy who was working for me, he finished campus, but he was hakuwa na kazi. He was waiting to
get a job.
Graduate. He graduated and then looking for a job.
So
he got employed. Job. Yes. So he saw Nuria. There's no future here. So he said there's no future here. So the guy started. Very nice guy. I still, I keep in touch with him. So that gentleman told me now I got a
better job. Yes.
And nimepata Equity Bank. Nimepata a job. So my brother, I don't know how.
Utajipanga.
So I didn't have any other. So I resigned. So I resigned August 2018 because it was I only had two options. How will I get another person, train them that person within short period to run with the business, or I kill the business, I continue with employment. Now all these coincidences were happening.
And you had exhausted all your savings.
Yes, all my savings. Hakuna kitu. So the small, because I had loans as well, the small balance that comes from my salary used to pay the guy who was working for me and my expenses. So at that time I said the option I had was either to look for someone else, train them haraka, or run with the business, or I leave employment, I fully go into the business.
And how difficult is this? Because primarily you're leaving employment, you have another source of income.
And at that time I was earning 320,000 as a manager, credit manager. So
you left all that.
Yes.
And then to go to a business that is not yet on its feet.
So I have to look for a shop.
Yes.
So I said I will not operate from the store only. So I started, what is it called, shopping for a shop. Then I got some brokers. I was linked up with some brokers. I paid them some few coins, I think, once looking for that space as well. So once I got that space, I just paid for the down payment. They charged me 100,000 goodwill. In CBD is crazy. It's inside, it's ground floor, but it's inside. You remember that shop, So they charged me 100K for goodwill and then deposit of 70,000, 2-month rent deposit. So I paid, and then at that time there was a transition that was happening because Chase was bought by SBM. So I was given a letter by SBM Bank to transition. So if you didn't sign, that means you said no, and you are resigning and you're leaving the workplace. So me, I didn't sign, and I told them that I want to go fully into employment. So they even asked me, did you get elsewhere? You get job elsewhere, or you want us to counter that? I told them, Apana, I want to go fully into business.
So you believed into yourself fully?
Yeah. So luckily, they paid us some severance pay. I applied for my, what is it called, part of my pension. I accessed part of my pension. And then I put it into the business. So
it was a big risk.
It was a big risk, around 1.7 million. Went into the business. 2019, I was broke again. 2019 again, I was broke because all the money went to the business, marketing, making noise about it, pushing, getting more stock, blah blah, my own personal expenses. Now 2019, I got frustrated. I didn't have anything. I can go back to my sister. Yes. So now my sister, now she helped me, like 2-3 times now. So I can't go back to her. So now I started applying for jobs now. Again 2019. So I couldn't find one. So I don't know how 2019 was. I just sailed through it. Now 2020, I put my property. Actually, I used to have a car, a Kex. I sold in 2017 and put it into the business.
First of all, something interesting I'm getting out of you is like you put everything into the business. And you put, why did you put everything? Why did you decide to risk it all? What exactly were you seeing that probably any other person then looking at you was saying like, you're crazy. You're putting all your pension, you've put in all your savings, you've put everything into the business that's going out. Why were you still putting in money into a business that still was not working out?
First of all, I wanted this business to work. I've been doing some other small businesses that I used to sell tires and rims, So that didn't work.
Why didn't you want it to work so hard?
So I really wanted this business to work. The other thing is, at that time, I wanted to support local authors. I saw a niche that were not filled by the traditional booksellers at that time. So I came across several authors at that time, 2016 and 2017 as well, that where their books were aligned with, booksellers. They will tell you, they will review it. Since they don't know you, so it will just gather dust. So there's also that, like the humanitarian side of me, where I wanted to help the authors, especially self-published authors. So that was another drive. I said, if this falls, then other bookshops will control self-published authors, or self-published will not put their content out there. So I wanted also the Kenyan content to be seen by local Kenyans and also the world.
That's interesting.
So I saw there's a big, it will grow. At that time, there may be 5 or 6 who I was working with closely with. So I saw it's a big, and then they need a platform where they can put their books, because customers will ask you, "Nitapata wapi?" I will not buy now, but where else can I get it? And then you have to tell them it's available in bookshops.
But something interesting, you had this drive to help authors.
Yes.
But you yourself, you're not an author, you're not a publisher.
Yes.
Why? I will like.
I don't know. I will get into the publishing world, so I'm working into that. But I have a book, but I've never released it. I've never gone past 50 pages.
But you had this drive to help publishers. So that was what exactly was pushing you.
Yeah. So, but mine was to support first local authors.
Interesting.
At that time, I didn't even write a book. At that time, I think, but I started writing a book. And still, I'm stuck at 50 pages because I need to do more research into that.
It takes a while. It actually takes a while.
So, but the drive was just to help authors.
That's very interesting. So you've said, any person just listening to it, you can see, like, I think it's the journey of every entrepreneur. You look so crazy until things work. So years into the business, you've poured in money. Why did the tide change for Nuria?
Oh, that's amazing. So first 2019, I started defaulting on my loans. I had a car loan, a mortgage loan, personal loan, and educational loan. 4 loans. So I started defaulting.
And you're not in employment.
And I'm not employed.
And the business not sustaining itself.
Yes. So I started defaulting on my loans, needed the recovery on my neck. So since I had a property, I put that property for sale. So I have to look for brokers. So luckily, I think 6 months down the line, I got a buyer. 1 month before lockdown. That's Feb 2020. So I got a buyer. The buyer bought it. But now the bank now linked everything, all the loans to the property. Because they know I'm not employed. So they cannot only release the title deed while I have a pending, what is it called, personal loan and what is it called, car loan, not car loan, personal education loan.
So
they tied. The goodness was the property was
valued.
Oh yes, valued that, because my thinking was, let me pay off the, what is it called, the mortgage only, continue paying these other loans, and that big chunk of money, put it into business.
You're crazy.
So it didn't happen. So they offset everything. They told me, if you want us to release this title deed, you must offset everything. I didn't have another option. I was broke. I didn't know what to do. I said, sawa. Then the brokers, I think I paid the 2 brokers who I think brought the buyer, and then paid off, and then few of my debts. I also had some other debts with friends who helped me on the way. So, and then I think I had around 1.1 million at the balance from the while offsetting everything, and then I put it into the business. Now, luckily, March. We went to lockdown. Now people started reading. Kenyans started buying books.
So for you, COVID was a blessing. That was the turning point.
It was a big blessing.
My goodness. I wish time is just literally moving so fast, but I'm just getting it. I'm like, in business, you just have to be very crazy. Because time was literally, it's not so much on our side. I have some quick fire questions, so you can just answer whatever that comes to your mind first. So first of all, since you're in the online publishing, what's your favorite book?
In terms of what?
Any book. What's been your favorite book? Any genre?
Any genre. Which one now? Only the paranoid survive.
Only the paranoid survive.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Me, I love both tea.
Oh, because it has
With
caffeine.
ginger. I love
Music
tea.
or quiet? Quiet time.
When I don't know, I do music as well, but I love spending time alone once in a week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What time do you prefer to read? Is it morning or evening?
Morning.
Morning. Oh, I think you're the same on that.
Yeah.
What's your hidden talent?
I don't know. Do I have a talent?
Going broke. Spending all the money.
No, I don't know. I play that, so I love that. So I don't know if it's a hobby or I don't know. That's not a talent, so I don't know.
What's your favorite day of the week?
Which day? Sundays.
Sundays. What's your favorite number and why?
Wow, that's interesting. I love odd numbers. 1, 3, 5, 7. Nuria is 5. So I'm a bit superstitious, so I love numbers. So that's why you see everything that I do, I want to put it in 3s and 5s and 7s. Yeah. So that's why Nuria is in 5. The honest store is intentional. The honest store, that's 3. So I don't know.
Oh, so the number Nuria 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah. So everything for you, it's very intentional.
Yeah, intentional. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's very interesting. I would not even have thought about
3,
it.
5. I don't know.
It's been quite an interesting conversation with Abdullahi, the founder of Nuria. You can actually check out Nuria on www.nuria.co.ke. On Nuria, you can actually get access to any book, international or also local. And thanks so much, Abdullahi, for giving me a gift time-wise. I think I'm watching my time quite wisely. And also my book, The Business Conquest, actually retails also on Nuria, where you can get access to so many different books. As always, you're here at the Capital Club, the place you need to be as an entrepreneur, because at the Capital Club, you have a big access to your network. My name is Ian Dennis, and this has been the Late Night Business.